Well, it is the first day of spring, but tens of millions of people are bracing for the fourth nor'easter in a month. Winter storm watches, warnings and advisories are in effect from North Carolina to Massachusetts. We're talking snow, sleet and freezing rain all in the forecast. Part of that same system brought severe weather to the south. Overnight in Alabama, tornadoes tore roofs off of buildings, knocked out power to 15,000 homes and businesses. CBS News weather producer David Parkinson is tracking it all down. So what are we looking at with this nor'easter, David?
So we are looking at a little bit more severe weather today, and that's going to be primarily in Florida and also along the coast of South Carolina and Georgia. So they've got some tornado watches. They'll have some warnings potentially during the afternoon and evening hours today, but it shouldn't be anything on the magnitude of yesterday, which was really your first outbreak of the season. But what we've really got to pay attention to is this nor'easter that is starting to come together. So you saw it on the wide radar map. As we come in closer here, you're seeing it's starting to snow in and around Washington, D.C., in and around Philadelphia, back towards Hagerstown and Frederick and on into the southern parts of Pennsylvania. The key thing that you don't see on this radar here is what's actually sticking, right? Mm-hmm. So we're at such a late time in the year that the angle of the sun is high enough that it's a lot harder for things to stick during the daytime hours.
Okay,
and so that's why,
it's warmer.
Right, because it's warmer and it's just going to melt. It's a lot harder for that to happen unless you have exceptionally heavy snow. So the primary accumulation times are going to be in your overnight hours. Mm-hmm. But I think by the evening tonight, by and large, as we move the futurecast along, you'll see it's those spots in western Maryland and southern Pennsylvania where you're really talking some serious accumulations of maybe 5-6 inches possible tonight. Then we start dealing with round two, and that's going to be the impactful one. Wednesday evening's commute's going to be a mess from D.C. all the way up to Boston, including here in New York. It's going to be a mix of snow, some freezing rain, some sleet, all of those things together. And the problem is where those pieces come together is a little bit uncertain. Mm-hmm. And so the snow totals vary widely upon how much sleet comes into that picture, how much freezing rain comes in, because every time you get that type of precipitation, that's when you're not accumulating snow. So it, by the logic of math there, prevents you from hitting some of those larger snow totals.
If you're flying into New York or Boston, should you be concerned? Do you think you'll get out?
I would say take advantage of the waiver if your travels are not critical. Mm-hmm. I mean, by Thursday morning, it's all gone.
Okay.
And the winds are not going to be nearly as bad. We're not talking about 70-mile-an-hour winds on this one. We're 30, 40-mile-an-hour winds. But look, we've got some real coastal flooding concerns. Coastal flooding being a concern all along the Jersey Shore, the back bays of Ocean City, Atlantic City, Sea Isle, Avalon, all of those places, down to Lewis, Delaware, out on Long Island, along the Sound of Connecticut, and then even onto the South Shore of Massachusetts, where they've been battered by all of those storms. It's not so much that this is a really bad storm. In fact, this is a pretty weak storm by comparison. It's because it's so stretched out. It doesn't have like a really nice, well-defined center. But here's the thing that it does have. It does have the benefit of piggybacking off of all of those other systems which have eroded a lot of our defenses. That's why I think that power outages are especially going to be a concern out of this storm, because there's a lot of trees that have gone down. There's a lot of problems that we've got in terms of things not being cleared, people just rushing to get the power back on and not doing the maintenance. So, the key takeaways for this one is that, the temps are going to be above freezing for much of the day. So that's going to take your snow totals down. We've got heavy, wet snow again, right? So that's that backbreaker snow. That's the snow that's really hard to shovel. And then when you combine that with the temperatures in the cities, it's really tough to accumulate snow. So look, the National Weather Service has a 14-inch snowfall for New York. Ain't gonna happen. I mean, there's a better chance that if you divide that number by 10, we hit that, than if we actually get to there. So I'm thinking 2 or 3 inches in the city, 6 to 12 generally in a lot of the suburbs in New Jersey, parts of Pennsylvania, parts of Connecticut, and then it's a question of just how far north it gets to. Power outages, coastal flooding, like I said, a big problem.
All right, David Parkinson, thank you very much for joining us.